for info അവിടുന്ന് മഗ്ദനം മെഡിക്കൽ
Hey everyone, it's Sam, and welcome back to the 911 Nonsense podcast. To stay in the loop, learn about upcoming guests, and join in the conversations with the Noon community, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And hey, if you like what you hear in this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Your support means the world to us. Ben and Laura, a married duo with deep roots in emergency medicine, open up about the hard truths behind the healthcare system, from ER burnout to the broken insurance model. They share stories of resilience, advocacy, and what it's really like to navigate medicine as both partners and professionals. From leading a statewide 3D mask effort during COVID to fighting for systemic change, their impact runs deep and their message is clear. Healthcare needs help. Let's get started. Hey guys, are you looking for a top-notch first aid kit? Look no further than Jump Medic. Owned by a seasoned paramedic with over a decade of EMS experience, their kits are user-friendly and packed with essential supplies. From the most popular Pro Gen 2 to the compact hardshell kit, they've got you covered. You can even customize your own kit with the Build-A-Bag option. Enter the code NOON10, N-O-O-N, the number 10, and enjoy 10% off your order. Free US shipping, and everything is HSA FSA approved. Visit jumpmedic.com and follow at JumpMedicUSA on Instagram. Stay prepared with Jump Medic. Laura and Ben, thank you so much for joining us on the Noon podcast today. How are you guys doing?
So good, Sam. Thanks for having us.
I agree. Thanks, Sam.
I am so stoked to have you guys. You guys are like one of my favorite couples ever. Can we start by getting an introduction of who you are, what you do, all of the in-between? Go ahead and start, Laura.
Okay, my name's Laura. I have around 22 years total in healthcare. I did 12 as a CNA and a tech, and then about almost 10 as a nurse. I currently work as a manager for utilization review for an insurance company. For that, I did flight nursing, and then before that, I did NICU.
My name is Ben. Hey, everybody. I am a nurse. I've been a nurse for 10 years, most of it doing emergency room, and then a little bit of ICU, and then flight. And now I also work for an insurance company, working remote, doing case management. Big change there for me.
That's fantastic. Do you work together or do you not? You do.
Of course we do.
I wasn't sure.
We're like not codependent. We're
No, strong, independent people.
Clearly.
who just prefer to be together.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it. If I could convince Sam to get into the healthcare, we probably would do the same thing. But it
Right.
works better this way. So
Yeah, we actually share an office now. So yeah,
oh,
we work together. But
that's hilarious.
we don't work on the same team. Like we have different jobs. And of course, Laura's in management, and she's like, she's doing the real thing. But yeah, we do work literally like 5 feet from each other every day. It's kind of ridiculous, really.
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't think if you can make it work, there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, and we like it. What would you say, babe? Like once or twice a week, we like give each other a glare and the hand motion, like, shut up, I'm trying to make a phone call. But really, it works out pretty well.
Usually he does it to me because I'm so much louder.
That's not surprising either. That's so funny.
So yeah, but we're both working for the insurance side of healthcare now, which is a totally wild experience because it personally, I feel like it's kind of, I don't know, working for the wrong side of healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also at the same time trying to like feeling like I'm kind of working from the inside out, like being able to see how the insurance companies work, and so therefore being able to kind of like not like game the system, but use it to your advantage, kind of
Sure,
thing.
you're navigating that system, right?
Yeah,
To more of the patient's advantage, it sounds like.
right. Yes, exactly. And that's kind of like my unspoken, not on my official resume title,
Yeah.
but I use it. But so yeah, it was completely bizarre going from emergency medicine and swapping to insurance side because it's like you couldn't be more polar opposite. However, we're still working those same types of cases. Like I'll actually do
Mhm.
transport authorizations, so we'll get a request in for people, with like a flight company or a ground transport, and we'll have to take a look at it and see if there's other options or cheaper options for the insurance company. And so seeing it from that side, it's really eye-opening in basically like confirming my prior held beliefs that insurance is, not something that I think really business should be based upon. A business making money off of people's healthcare. So,
You said it
but
confirmed those those
yeah,
beliefs.
it
Yeah.
it confirmed my beliefs that that is not something that should
Yeah.
be. It should, it's kind of like, so yeah, it's a totally bizarre change that we both made. But we can't complain about the job itself. Like working
Fuck
from
no.
home is
Especially
is
not if you're
awesome.
getting paid well and
Yeah,
yeah, no, it's definitely nothing to complain about for sure. Yeah, and you guys
right.
have been actually, I'll have Ben share the experience, and that's not to take away from you, Laura, but one of my favorite memories with Ben is him telling me how you guys met and then how you guys progressed forward through your relationship. So I'll have you share that here in just a minute, but you guys like literally do everything together. And you guys have been married for how long now?
It's our 13th year. We just celebrated 12 years, our 12th anniversary.
Yeah, we met in 2010 and then got married in 2013.
That's crazy. You guys have been married like almost your entire nursing careers, right?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And you guys, have you ever wanted to like murder each other yet?
I plead the fifth. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I think that's like a healthy relationship, right?
I
Like every
agreed,
once in a while, you're like,
100%.
Yeah, if you can't tell each other that, you know what, I love you, but right now I can't stand you. I think that's yeah, that's good communication. But no, I mean that's classic marriage stuff. We do spend a lot of time together. Like most days, we are together the whole day. We share an office. We work very closely. Um, and it somehow it works for us. I know a lot of people who I think that would drive crazy. In fact, we go places and people are like, oh my God, I could never do that with my spouse. That would drive me crazy. But somehow it works for us. I'm not, I don't think it's a codependence. I think it's just we just like each other. I don't know. It's weird.
yeah, I somehow got to marry my best friend, and so I just want to hang out with my best friend, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
And it really is like you see the epitome of that because you guys do literally like everything together. And I'm not trying to shame you. My wife and I do everything together too. Like if I'm not at work, I'm hanging
Hmm.
out with my best friend and I don't
Right.
want to do anything else. So if you're inviting me
Hmm.
to go get coffee or to drink or whatever and I don't want to go, it's not because I
Yes,
don't want to hang out with you. It's because I'm hanging out with the person I really do want to spend
I
my
got,
time with.
yeah, I got a better offer.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a better offer. Exactly.
If I can bring a plus one, then there's like a 50% chance I'll show up.
Exactly. 50%. It depends on
Just
how late
kidding.
it is, if it's on a weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true.
Do you have a filter on, Ben? Your skin looks amazing.
No, you know what? I don't, but it's the best compliment I've pretty much ever had.
You pretty much have ever had, and that stinks. Well, you met Reba McIntyre, so it doesn't. I mean, you don't
He
need
got a
me.
little bit of skin. He got a little bit of sun yesterday, but still wore sunblock so he didn't
Yeah.
burn.
Yeah.
That's smart.
Yeah.
Healthcare.
I am pale as they come. So I have to do my due diligence when I go out and swim and stuff. But yeah, not to embarrass myself, but I had on a long sleeve rash guard while I swam and then a big wide brim hat and sunglasses. So it was like I wasn't even in the sun.
So hot.
Like you weren't even hanging out.
It was
Rar.
That's awesome, dude.
Talk about
No, that's
sexy. Tell
good.
us about your wide brim hat, Ben.
wink.
Wink. So tell me, Ben, tell me how you met Laura and where it went from there.
So I before I met Laura, I was considering, well, I was in the process of doing prerequisites for nursing school. I was working at a grocery store, and my shifts were super early, and I'd get done by noon. So I was trying to find a a specific class to take that would fit my schedule well. So I found this great class, nutrition class, that started, I think, at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So it was perfect. I'd get off my shift at the grocery store and then go take this class. Well, um, it just so happened that this I sat in the class, and on the first day was I was already sitting down, sitting at my desk, and in comes this absolutely stunning uh, lady. And I'm not kidding. I don't I did not believe in love at first sight until I saw this gal. But anyway, Laura came in, and just so happened that there was a seat next to me, so she sat down next to me. And I was like trying to play it cool, you know. So she asked me if she could borrow this little binder thing that we're supposed to have, and I told her no. And so, she's beautiful, and so she never gets told no. So it totally put her back, it took her off guard. But yeah, that was my game. That was my conversation to get her involved. But it was pretty much, we never looked back after that. The two of us started talking like the second or third day of classes. Shared each other's phone numbers, and like we really never looked back from then. Since then, we've basically spent every day together. We both ended up getting accepted to two different nursing schools. We went through nursing school 1 semester apart. So I graduated 1 semester before Laura. It was going through nursing school and being a married couple was incredible. Like I know almost for a fact that it would have been almost impossible to get through nursing school without Laura, because being able to come home and look at each other and say, okay, well, this is what I learned. What do you think of it? And being able to just talk about classes and talk about the things we were learning was huge. And that actually continued to be a help in our relationship, because working in the same field, coming home to somebody who wouldn't understand what I did for a living, or what I saw, or who I dealt with in an emergency room or an ICU or in flight, I think that would be extremely, extremely difficult. But we kind of lucked out. We have this knowledge of each other's field, of each other's career. So we're able to talk, to really be therapy for each other, so
Yeah.
to speak. Uh, and so yeah, we went to nursing school together, kind of, and then started our nursing careers 3 or 4 months apart. And we've never worked together in the nursing field until now, because we've always done totally different specialties. But now we
Flight.
work in the same kind of like specialty. Yeah, well, flight. That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. I forgot about flight, because we even worked the same shift once or twice, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
But they never let us on the plane together.
Yeah, because if that goes down, then it's bad, and we live parentless children here.
Right. You have two kids
For
on
our
top of
orphans.
all of that. Yeah. So you don't want
Yeah.
to, yeah, there's a
Yeah,
reason they don't
Yeah.
let couples fly together.
right.
Hmm.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, it's been that one day, and we never looked back, really.
Yeah. Talk about serendipity too. Like I said I was a tech, and I had gotten out of a divorce, and I had two small kids, and I was working a lot and just didn't want to take in-person classes. So I worked at a rehab hospital and took classes online at night. And the nutritionist at the assisted living was like, "You got to take my class in person." I was like, "I don't really do that." And she's like, "No, you should. I want you to meet other people. Like, I think that this would be good for you." So I went and walked into that class and met Ben, and just like Ben said right away, I mean, we both grew up outside the country. So we had this like third culture kid thing where, he was born and raised in Africa and I was raised in Italy, and we both had been divorced from similar individuals. So I think that we had pretty much bonded right away over all these weird similarities, that before we knew it, we were each other's person. Like we literally started out as friends. Like, I mean, and then before you know it, it just felt right to do the rest of life together.
That makes sense. And so you guys dated for about 3 years before you got married?
Yeah, it was really great.
What do you mean it was really gray?
Well, like So, but Ben and I both got divorced from people that we had married very young. And they were both very religious. And so we, had spent a fair bit of time in the Christian church. And then we got divorced and we were both trying to figure out our lives, and we both were kind of seeing other people when we met. And so, my ex-husband, the father of my kids, um, Ben has since adopted them, so now they're Ben's kids. But he was financially unstable, on the streets now. So, from what I know, anyways. And then I met a guy shortly after who was very financially stable and was all the things that a parent would want for their kid to be with, and it just made sense. So, I was kind of seeing him, and then I met Ben, who, was working at a grocery store, and I was working as a CNA. Like, even if I had loved Ben in that moment, I was like, I don't know. I really need to be financially stable. I need to go to college. I need to get my kids a safe roof over their head. And so, and Ben has a similar story. He was married and then got divorced. He was kind of seeing a girl. And I don't think either of us thought like, oh yeah, let's get married again. You know what I mean? It wasn't like we weren't in that place where hindsight, we met each other and we loved each other right away. But I don't think either of us were healed from our trauma enough to be able to like, it took those 3 years for us to kind of work through, like, do we actually trust each other enough? Are we all in? You're also my best friend. I don't want to lose that. Like, if we try to date and we don't, then, and the things don't work out right, then I've lost my best friend. At that point, we were relying on each other to get through prereqs and helping each other watch each other's kids. It was just gray. Like, we weren't really sure. And then it was like we decided to date and then got engaged and got married within like 9 months or something crazy.
Oh,
It was
wow.
like once we knew, like, are we going to actually do this? And like Ben said, we've never looked back. But from day one, once we exchanged phone numbers, it was like, I've never met anybody who understands me the way Ben does. He literally, I mean, he can walk into a room and be like, "Are you okay?" And I'll say yes, and he'll be like, "I can tell you're not." Like, it's like an energy thing. Like, he just knows. So we literally were best friends since day one, but I think we were both a little scared. Well, I was a little scared to, go all in. What do you think, B?
Yeah, it's taken me years to get that information out of her of that she wasn't all in right away. Because I was. I don't know why. I was like right away. I was like, you know, 0 to 100 sort of thing. She would always tell me when we first, oh yeah, me too. Right away. No, not quite. Like it took her a minute, but it was all in, self-preservation. Like she had been hurt so badly.
Yeah, it's smart to have that hesitancy.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't.
Yeah, it's definitely smart to have that, especially coming out of something too. Like, I think that's definitely a male versus female kind of thing where she's like a little more reserved because she's been hurt from this. And you're like, let's do it. I'm ready. Let's
Hmm.
go. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So it's a smart thing, but it sounds like you guys waited a really good amount of time to
Yep.
decide to move forward again for the rest of your lives. And then how are the kiddos?
Dude, they're old.
They're old. uh, Becca was the youngest one, right?
Yes.
Becca?
Yeah.
And she's graduated and
She
Yeah.
turns 17 tomorrow.
oh my goodness.
Yeah, and she's
Ugh.
finished with high school. She's signing up for some CNM classes. She's driving around, living her best life with her friends. It's totally wild that that's our youngest.
Yeah.
But and
Mm-hmm.
then Jules is considering nursing school, so she might be going into the medical field as well, which is kind of
Are you guys pushing her that
kind
way
of
or are
wild.
you redirecting her?
It's
She's yeah, go ahead, babe.
I was gonna say it's been kind of back and forth. It's one of those things where like we see the good of it and we also see the bad of it. Like you can get into healthcare and you'll never be without a job. Like I could go to family medicine, I could go to pediatrics, I can go to an IV bar. I mean, you name it. There's countless jobs in the healthcare field for a nurse. But also like the stuff that we see and I really don't think nurses make the money that they do to have such high stakes mistakes. You know what I mean? Like you push the wrong drug, you kill somebody. I mean, I really, so there's also like a lot of, we see a lot of trauma. We see, you know all of this. So
Mm-hmm.
as a mom, I want her to be able to be financially stable and have job security. But I'm also very much willing to warn about the downside of
Right.
healthcare,
Yeah.
you
Is the
know?
mental health aspect worth the loss in the financial
Mhm.
stability?
And as a
Mhm.
mom, it's interesting to look at our children, right? Like I know that one of our daughters is super super empathetic and would like carry all of it home, and I would never like suggest it for her, whereas the older one I know has a better ability to maybe like turn some of that off. But I mean, how long can you go that way before it is too much? Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yep. Nope, it totally does.
Mhm.
Totally does. Especially in today's systems where, so I was just telling Ben that I just started working PRN back at UNM, purely for skills, right? Because we know that in the fixed wing
Mm-hmm.
department, I did as many IVs as I did RSIs in the last 6 years, and that was three. So getting back
Yeah.
getting back into the ER, at least I can get IVs, I can get casting skills, I can get all of that stuff that I haven't really had a whole lot of. But yeah, especially with the way that the ERs are being run now, it's crazy. It's a
Mhm.
really disheartening system right now
Mhm.
with
Mhm.
staffing and with the acuity of patients that we're getting. It's pretty nuts. Actually, it's really nuts. It was very disheartening when I started. I've been there like 2 months now, and it's really, really, I can't emphasize how disheartening the culture actually is now compared to how it was 6 years ago when I left.
What do you think, like percentage wise, do you think that a bunch of that has to do with staffing, or is it also like the culture coming out of COVID? Is it, do you know what I mean? Do you think any of that has anything to do with it?
Oh yeah, I think that well, I think COVID helped push out a lot of people, and I think COVID also helped bring in a lot of people who had been in retirement or people who came back because they wanted to help, you know what I mean? But then it also promoted this travel nursing positions, right? So I would say that probably 80 to 90% of our staffing right now is all travels
Wow.
in the ER. So I don't know. Did you guys work in ER in trauma?
No.
So the ER now is closed down to it's less than 20 rooms. So you have trauma,
What?
and then you have trauma overflow, which is where the mech unit used to be. It's still mech, but it's not psych unit. It's overflow from trauma. And then you have obs oso, which is the only part of the ER department. And four of those hall beds are vertical care, which means they're trying to get them in and get them out really quick. So we cut down our ER 75%. We
Jeez.
closed down those ER
And that,
beds.
like the literal opposite of what an ER needs to be doing. Like total opposite.
Yep. And we're still sitting at like 40, 50, 60 in the waiting room.
And that's how you end up with people in the hallway in beds,
Oh yeah.
Yep.
which is, again, like you got your license on the line.
Yeah. The trauma
Right.
room, which was originally only made for like 6 beds, 7 beds at the
Mm-hmm.
most,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're chronically sitting between 6 and 22 patients in trauma.
Oh my
22.
God.
22.
Jeez.
We
That's
have
unreal.
beds shoved between beds. There's no
Yeah.
curtains. There's no
Yeah.
privacy anymore. It's insane. They just rolled out like last week or the week before, a rule that said if they're clear from trauma, so if they roll in as like a cat one or a cat two, whatever,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
trauma, if they can sit in a wheelchair and they do not have any life-threatening injuries, send them up to triage. We had a
Wow.
dude who cut his leg with a saw. He didn't have an art bleed, but he cut his leg with a saw. Got sent up to triage, sitting in fucking triage, dude.
Oh my
This is
God.
insane. It is
That's,
absolutely insane.
And the fallout that comes from that. You've got
oh yeah.
families that are pissed
Oh, yeah.
Right. Gosh,
and
that's
again,
crazy.
what is this costing you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What are we paying for
if
healthcare?
Yep.
if we're staffing 90% travel nurses, like that's an
Oh
unbelievable
yeah.
cost.
Yeah. It's an unbelievable
Nope.
cost
Yeah.
And I'm talking about
as a
as a
patient.
patient.
Hmm.
Right. For
I
sure,
can tell
sure.
you
Like,
that for Sam's insurance, we pay $650 a month. We pay $650 a
Gosh.
month for her to potentially, if she gets into like a car accident or has another trauma,
hmm
to get
Mhm.
yeah.
sat in the trauma area where they are chronically holding inpatients, right?
Yeah, sure.
Inpatient patients.
Yeah.
And like there's just no room. It's fucking
It's
scary.
Can I
it
tell
is.
you a wild
It is.
story?
Yes.
So Ben and I went to Ireland in August of last year,
Hmm.
like not that long ago, and we're both pretty educated, health wise, right? So we land in Ireland and my elbow's hurting. This weird like nerve pain in my elbow. Okay. Um, we got in at night, so I went to sleep. The next morning I woke up and it had kind of radiated down my arm a little bit. And throughout the day it got to my wrist. So I was asking Ben like, "Oh, can you rub my wrist? I think I like hit a nerve in my elbow." So Ben was kind of rubbing my wrist, and we went to bed. And I woke up at 3 in the morning and like could feel like nerve pain in my fingers, and it had radiated almost into my chest, like my back and my chest. All I could think was that I was having a heart attack. Right? Like this has been going on now for what 36 hours, just getting worse. So at like 3 in the morning, Ben and we were there with Ben's parents and Ben's dad ended up driving us to the ER because Ben was like, "This is not something we're going to play with. You've continually complained about it. It's now in your chest and on your fingers. Like, okay, let's go in." So we go into this hospital, and there was one other person. I was so nervous because I didn't know what it was going to cost us. I didn't know how long I was going to have to wait. I have never gone to an ER in a different country. Okay, so I mean, as an adult, so I grew up in Italy, so I'm sure I went to hospitals there, but this was my first like adult experience. So walk into the ER and there's like one other person waiting. So I explain my symptoms. They get me back. Um, they run all kinds of tests. They did a full like cardiac workup pretty much, huh, Ben?
Oh yeah. Yep. Troponin, EKG, full blood work, chest X-ray, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. A doctor, they ended up giving me IV Tylenol,
Mhm.
Which is very
and
expensive.
which is very expensive.
Very
And
expensive.
so the nurse had gotten me set up. She came by and asked if Ben I wanted breakfast, and I was absolutely not. I have no idea how much this is going to cost me, so I'm definitely not going to eat as well. Um, so the doctor comes in, literally the doctor comes in to turn off my IV and did a full assessment. Like he listened to my heart and lungs, he asked me questions, and then at the end of his assessment, he says, "Hey, we really can't find anything wrong with you. Just follow up with your primary when you get home." So I told Ben like, "Oh, I'm telling people I have a pinched nerve or something because this is like wild. Like there is something wrong with me." Long story short, I ended up having shingles.
I
Okay.
was gonna say it sounded almost like shingles. That's fucked up.
That's exactly what it was. We get in the plane to fly home, and I broke out in that nasty pustule rash
Hmm.
all over my arm, and it went all the way up to like my shoulder. So I was like, okay, this I know what this is now. This makes sense. Um, it cost me $100.
That's it?
The only reason that it cost me $100 is because I hadn't seen a primary doctor who told me I needed to go to the ER. If I had in the morning
What?
gone down to the clinic and said, "I think I'm having a heart attack," and then gone to the ER, it would have been free.
That is insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
That is
Yeah.
Ben and I
insane.
were like, okay, guess we're moving to Ireland.
Yeah, fuck it. Why not?
Like,
Right.
I went in emergently. They ran all these tests. I got, like I said, IV Tylenol. They wrote prescriptions.
Yeah,
$100.
it was awesome.
That is
It,
fucking
it was
nuts.
awesome. You know, to piggyback on that story, when we arrived and we were waiting to go through immigration, the one of the Irish who was helping us was like complaining and about his country, as we all tend to do. But he
Yeah.
was like, yeah, our medicines, it's free, but I have to wait 6 weeks to see my specialist. And I was like, bro, I wait longer than that, and I pay a bunch for healthcare.
Yeah. Yeah.
But wait, what, Sam, when you were talking about sending, potentially critical patients to triage slash the waiting room, it reminded me of a story of I was doing a secondary triage. So there was a triage nurse, and then I would grab them after triage, and IV line, EKG, that
Hmm.
kind of thing. And the initial triage nurse was like, "Oh, this one guy comes in. You can tell he's a farm worker or a ranch worker or something like that, and he's got his big thick jeans on and his hat and everything. And he said that he had hurt his leg, and it was, he wanted to be seen. So the triage nurse grabbed his vitals, asked for his pain scale. It was like 2 out of 10. So without looking at his wound, she sent him back out to the ER. And I was like, all right, well, you know what? Let me go take a look. Maybe I can wrap it or something. So I pull him back, and as he's walking himself back to my area, I'm like, "Hey, can I see what happened?" And the guy's impaled himself with rebar.
Oh, fuck. She's like, nah.
I've been doing some PRN work at an IV bar, and so that's like the bread and butter. I do like 20 a day, and but the nice thing is nobody's sick. Like, everybody's coming in there walking on their own 2 feet of their own accord. You've usually had some water that day, and they're not, you know, IV drug abusers, and they're not
Yeah.
diabetic. And so it's like, I get good IVs all the time. So seeing those missed ones, or especially when it's like with a 22, or like, big throbbing vein in their arm, and somebody like blows right through it. It's just, yeah, that feeling is, it's it's
He's
hard.
talking about me. I'm that person.
Yeah, right. I taught you everything you know. You don't miss anymore.
You don't miss anymore.
I'm the person that blows them.
That's funny.
Ben actually met Reba McEntire doing IVs.
I did. It's a famous country music star. Yeah,
That is,
she
I
was here
think,
doing.
the one person Sam would leave me for.
Oh, really?
Is Reba
She was
McEntire.
awesome.
Yep.
She was so nice.
Ben did not blow her veins.
Oh,
No.
that's
Got
good.
invited back a whole bunch of times.
Yep. So, Sam, when I first showed up at her house after the background check, after, it was like a big deal for me to go. When I showed up at her house, she was in the living room, and she's like rubbing her AC area, and she's like doing push-ups against the wall, and like really trying to get her veins big. And when somebody knows that, who's not in healthcare, and they're already working on making their veins bigger, they've been worked over, right? Like,
Yeah.
automatically you've been put through the ringer trying to get an IV. And she really wasn't that difficult. I told her after I got her the first time, I was like, don't let anybody tell you that you've got bad veins, because it's just a skill issue. So anyway, yeah, I was able to meet her, and I went back like a bunch of times and got to know her and her boyfriend and their dog. And it was actually a totally wild experience.
That is so cool. So
Yeah.
you went to her house, or was that the clinic?
See, so the clinic where I worked didn't normally do house calls. But they were like, they kind of put this one on a,
Yeah.
special, because she was super famous. But she had rented a house down by the river, like on a big bluff overlooking the river. It's a beautiful, beautiful home. But she had just been renting it for, I guess, 6 or 8 or 9 months while filming a show out in Valles Caldera. So they were here for, like I said, 6 or 9 months or something like that. And the first time I went to take care of her, she had just got over some sort of sickness, maybe just the flu or something like that. And I went to see her on a Saturday, and on that Wednesday, she was scheduled to perform at the Country Music Awards. And so she really wanted to feel better. So I gave her a couple bags of normal saline with some vitamins, just the random IV bar crap that's in it.
Yeah.
She totally felt better, and we watched her perform, because I was like, I can't miss it after I've I helped her. The only the only interesting is she wore long sleeves to perform. So I was like, I wonder if I bruised her.
You might have.
But yeah, she was awesome.
She ended up giving Ben a bottle of whiskey and a blanket that's like embroidered with her name.
Yeah, I'm low key famous, actually.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
No, the cool part though, Sam, is that Ben had just started drinking whiskey right before that.
Not
And
like I wasn't drinking whiskey during the IV.
Obviously, yeah. You
Well,
just started the venture of drinking whiskey.
yeah, just it started to become something he was dabbling in.
there you go.
Then the last time he was there, she said, "Oh wait, I have something for you," and went over to like a liquor cabinet and like went through it and pulled out a Whistle Pig 15 year,
12 year, yeah.
12 year. And Ben was like, "Oh, this is so cool, thanks." And then she said, "I learned to drink whiskey from my mama."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then Ben came home and saw how expensive the bottle of whiskey was, so he shared it with his friends.
How
Yeah,
much was it?
yeah. It's like a $600 bottle.
Oh, fuck. That is
Yeah,
expensive.
Yeah.
Jesus. I'm
yeah.
like, I'm happy with my high noons that have vodka and tea in them. Like, what a cool experience. That is really
Thanks, Rita.
cool. I
Yeah,
have
it
a
was
friend
awesome.
who's starting a beauty spa, and I'm trying to
Oh, no way.
convince her to hire me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of rules and regulations to that kind of stuff. It's a little weird.
It's getting more controlled. Like over the last 2 years, it's the rules have been coming down on the med spas. And then
Mm-hmm.
Texas is leading the way to really, really come down. I guess there was some sort of court case a couple maybe a couple years ago by now, but someone died after getting an infusion at a med spa in Texas, and so
Because
now
they
they're
infused
like,
TPN.
yeah, yeah, through a peripheral line. But anyway, yeah, so they made some huge mistakes, but now, of course, Texas is going to come down hard on the med spas, and I think personally that those laws that Texas implements will probably get picked up nationwide. But yeah, it is very well enforced, very highly legislated, the med spas, but it's super fun. Like I was saying, like all kinds of healthy people come in, all kinds of weird people too. Like you get a lot of like fringe health nut idea people who come through,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're
I
like,
mean, it's an IV
oh,
bar. Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're like, oh no, I drink fungicide because it's good
Oh.
for my
Mm.
tumor or whatever, like
Mm.
like all kinds of random people, and then the very very mainline, straight lace healthy people come through too. It's really, if you could, I would recommend it. I like doing it. It's pretty fun.
It's hard because they are wanting a medical director. And even though NPs can be medical directors, it has to be an MD medical director.
Oh
It can't
wow.
be an
Mm.
NP for me to
Yeah.
work under their scope.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that
It's
is.
complicated. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And that, I mean, having an MD doing anything is expensive.
Yeah. Yep. That's
So,
part of the problem is the expense.
yeah, yeah.
But, and I don't know how it was when you were there, but she's telling me that so the nurses can't start IVs unless there's a nurse practitioner on site,
Well, that's weird.
which is
Well,
why she was considering hiring paramedics. And I said, well,
Sure.
to have a paramedic, you have to have a medical director. And she said, well, I am a medical director under my nurse practitioner license. So I did some digging, and no, it has to be an MD medical director. It can't be a nurse practitioner because I
Interesting.
guess they had a rule out like 2 years ago where they didn't tell anybody that they were actually discussing this as an option. And the MD
mhm.
said, no, it's got to be
Wow.
an MD. It can't be an NP.
Wow.
But why would they
Interest.
give up all that money, right? They don't want to give up all that money.
Absolutely.
No.
That's wild.
I I know that things are changing. We know people like one of our old neighbors who we still keep in touch with owned like a med spa in Santa Fe or something and ended up saying she closed it 'cause she was like all these new regulations are just too much to keep up with. So, I mean, I can only imagine. I know that I'm sure that a lot of places have to write like policy and procedures and all these things that before you're like, oh, just come in and I'll give you some Botox and
Yeah.
Right.
an IV and you can be on your way. But
Hmm.
now I'm sure
Yeah.
there's,
Well, even in the time that I've been doing it, which isn't super long, it's gone from where somebody could walk in and you could give them an IV, just kind of like, you check their allergies, check their general health history, and yeah, sure, let's get your vital signs. Those are the three main things, like allergies, health history, and vital signs. But now, even in the time that I was working there, you now have to, before you infuse them at all in the first place, you have to have them like health and physical done by a provider. So a lot of places have taken to virtual, so they don't actually have to have somebody on campus to do it. But before they infuse, I'd grab an iPad, call up our nurse practitioner or PA, and get them on FaceTime, and they'd go over their H&P, and then we can infuse them. So even in just in the couple years that I've been doing it, things have come down um, much harder. So I think it's only going to get harder. I mean, nobody's going to start easing up on those laws.
Those
So,
regulations. Yeah, that's
you
pretty
know,
nuts. That's pretty nuts. Everything. We have all of these rules and regulations for these small things like med spas and then can't regulate our fucking ERs, right?
I know.
yeah, right.
Hey, you have a huge gash in your
Yeah,
leg, but it's not an art bleed, so we're gonna send you to triage.
yeah.
Have fun.
See
Yep.
ya.
Keep
Yeah.
on walking,
However, you
guys.
want to get some vitamins?
Yeah.
You want to get on some vitamins to your 24 gauge? We're
Yeah,
gonna have
exactly.
you talk to a medical director,
You
please.
want some vitamins through that 16 gauge in your AC. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Right.
fucking nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
that
is.
is
So,
not.
but that kind of brings full circle as to the whole availability of uh, career options for nurses. Uh,
Hmm.
we were talking about our daughter going to nursing school potentially, and you know, like she wants to do aesthetics. She wants to do things like Botox or fillers or you know, um, the whole like what's the word, optional medicine, like
Yes.
voluntary kind of like aesthetics. So that's a huge side that's growing now. Like it's
Hmm.
experiencing this massive growth, whereas you kind of used to be like, oh yeah, you could do a lot of stuff, but it was regulated. I mean, not regulated, but relegated to bedside sort of stuff. It's always been, you could do peds or adults or geriatrics,
Hmm.
nursing home. There's a lot of them, but they were all patient care centered.
Hmm.
Whereas now there's so many different things, like things we do, uh,
Yeah,
chart
I was
review
just
for
gonna say,
insurance
like,
companies or case management, all kinds of stuff like that. So there's so many options for what we
we
do.
really, we really have run the gamut, haven't we? In
But
just the
that's
You and
also
nursing.
I.
why we're seeing the nurses like life expectancy in the ER being less than like 5 years, right? And cutting that
Yeah.
sometimes even into down to 2 years. And
Hmm.
with our nurses and with our EMTs out in the field are only lasting about 5 years, and they're like, "See you later. I'm going back to school. I don't want
Yeah.
to do
That's
this
for
forever."
sure not surprising.
Yeah.
Absolutely not surprising. I did 8 in the ER, and I was like an old man in the
Yeah.
ER as far as
Yeah.
experience. You know what
You're
I mean?
that you're that burnt out, crusty nurse that
Yeah.
everybody bitches about, right? Because you're
He
that
still
fucking
is.
guy that's still there.
Yeah, no, I felt myself getting that way. I feel in self-defense, I do feel like I kept my patient care above board, but going through my mind every day, I would get I'd get the list of patients coming in or list of nurses that I've got working for me and nurses that have called off, and I would just be angry
Yep.
about it, you know? And then there would be situations like in the ER, and I think maybe I had mentioned this in my a little interview form or whatever, but security in the ER, I think there's a huge problem and there's a huge issue with security in the ER for healthcare providers. I've been in situations where I've basically been pinned up against the wall by my throat by a psych patient or even a non-psych, a medical patient, and security kind of stands by and waits. and I really don't know why. I mean, maybe Sam, you've been interviewed, maybe we could get somebody on who works hospital security, but to me, that's a huge problem in the emergency setting. Um, Getting physically or verbally assaulted by patients with no recourse. We're expected to provide this care for people no matter what, do no harm, yet we've got people swinging at us, spitting at us, biting us, pushing us,
Shooting us.
threatening our families, and like there's nobody gives two shits about that.
Yep. I was actually in a room the other day. We had to restrain somebody, and this isn't anything against our security guards, right? They're only doing what they're told. They are not
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
allowed to put hands on patients. I
Hmm.
literally had to kick the security guard out of the room. I was like, if you are not going to help, get out of my way so that I can
Right.
restrain this dude's leg. Like, he is
Hmm.
kicking. Please get out of the
Hmm.
way. Like,
Right.
what is
Yeah.
going on here? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a unfortunately a vicious cycle.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. There's a big gap between where security's like uh, scope ends and where we need someone to be protected, right? Uh, and so anyway, all of that goes back to that was like my experience is like, okay, yeah, I could do the job, but like the toll that it was taking on just the mental gymnastics it would take to get through the day, you
Hmm.
know. And that was a
Well, and then
big
you bring that
reason why I
home
left it. Yeah.
Yep.
too.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like there were times where, I worked in the NICU, so it was very different. Like we have these little babies and everything's very, yes, it's still an ICU, so you deal with all of that stuff. But Ben would come home and I would be like, you're so like
Mean.
not compassionate at all. Yeah. Yeah. Like Ben would come home and like I would get sick and I'd be like, I really don't feel well. And he'd be like, you're fine. And I'm like, there's,
I
you
feel
know,
that. I feel that. I'm not laughing to laugh at you. Having a wife that's chronically ill, it's hard to go from work all day and come home
yes.
and still be as empathetic and as
Oh,
compassionate
yeah.
to my
That's
family, right? To the person that I
Sure.
love as I am to the people that I'm servicing at the hospital
Hmm.
and to the flight job. So I
Hmm.
totally
huh?
get that. And when you're like, fucking suck it up. Like, you're fine.
Yes.
Stop.
Yes.
You need a band-aid. Shut up. You know what I mean? Like, I feel that.
Ugh, your poor wife, because I felt that. No, I'm just kidding. I was like, you, like, yeah, it's the stuff you guys dealt with in the ER, though. Like, I couldn't. I saw it when I did flight, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of a sudden, my perspective, it totally shifted, right? From like being a NICU nurse to an emergency medicine nurse. And like, the physical and mental toll of taking care of adults. It's totally different.
Totally different. Laura, you said that you started in NICU, right? And you had total NICU experience prior to going to flight, which is NICU peds, adults, and geriatrics. So how big of a transformation was that for you going from that very space little like that very safe little bubble of yours into now this very generic wide range of people?
So the wild part is that I had done travel nursing as a NICU nurse. So mainly on the East Coast, we had done Virginia, Maryland, DC, and then Florida. We got brought back to New Mexico for a sick family member that we were going to take care of. And when I got back to New Mexico, I was kind of trying to figure out what I was doing with my life. Like, I I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back to the same NICU I had been working at previous to doing travel nursing. And a coworker of Ben, his fiance was working at a team. They want somebody with a lot of experience, and I had a lot of experience, especially traveling and seeing multiple different NICUs across the country. So they hired me to hopefully start a NICU team, and then they hired me December of 2019. So COVID started pretty early 2020. And so I got just a ton of training. Like, I don't think that I would have been able to do it without Luke, my partner, because he really, like, he taught me a ton and he helped a lot. But it's vastly different. Like, my patients, I mean, I did float to the PICU, but like my patients were so tiny that like the dosages was what was different. So just a ton of training took place. But I mean, what a crazy, chaotic time
It
in the
was.
whole world. And I'm, being thrust into learning how to take care of adults. It was pretty wild.
So speaking of COVID, you actually had a really big impact on our community during COVID. What were you doing?
So um, my dad is incredible and he is a computer engineer. And ever since 3D printers have been around, he's been fascinated by them and he loves to print stuff. And he used to go do little like shows at the girls' schools where he'd take 3D printers and show the kids what they could do. And so when COVID happened and we were flying into all these reservations where we were physically firsthand seeing people without PPE, I called him and said, "Do you think we could 3D print masks?" And he said, "Yeah, let me get a team on it." So he works for a Cosmiac. It's like a research center through the School of Engineering at UNM. And he got a bunch of students and people together and came up with like a design. And we thought about using home filters. And so we ended up, initially, it was just a thought, but it became this massive, like 7 day a week, 24-hour mask production. And we had a sterilization hood and we partnered with Sandia Labs and Space Force. Space Forces who gave the initial funding. We ended up printing thousands and thousands of masks, and people were donating food, and there was a GoFundMe so that I could feed the volunteers because it was all volunteer run. And there was so much that went into it, trying to figure out how can we ensure that the people coming in to sterilize these masks aren't sick. So we were checking people's temperatures and monitoring who came in and out of the room, and everybody had their own personalized like PPE equipment. And it was pretty insane. And the cool part is I just got to see what a community can really accomplish when they all work together. I had people at the flight company donating masks and sewing masks, and people were dropping off food. And I mean, everybody came together, and we were able to get a lot of needed equipment all over the state and into Texas and Arizona and Colorado. So it was cool. It was massive, and it was probably one of the coolest things I've done in my career. But it was wild times for sure.
It was wild times for sure. And that's really cool because I don't think a lot of people get to experience that type of a job on such a grand scale, right? Like you said, you guys were producing thousands and thousands of masks and distributing those into the surrounding states. And like I said, not a lot of us get to ever participate in a project that is even to that size. You guys got some awards for that too, didn't you?
I did, yes. I was featured in Style magazine as one of the top 50 badass healthcare workers. That was probably the coolest. I got a lot of awards, and I'm very grateful for all of them. But like that was never it wasn't the intention. I saw a need, and I knew that I could go to my dad, and he would help me fill a need. Like initially, I was just like, if we can print a couple masks and I can drop them off, because I never expected there to be any sort of organization that would be willing to fit test them, right? My thought was something is better than a little paper mask. Let's try to figure out innovative ways to help protect healthcare workers. And it became massive. And I was recognized in so many different ways, but it really, like, I couldn't have done it without everybody who showed up and sterilized the masks. And you know what I mean? Like it was just like every single person that helped in any little way deserves a part of any of those nominations.
So
And
Laura's being humble, but I don't have to be since I'm married to her. So she got the feature in Style magazine, the Badass 50. So 50 women out of the entire country were featured in this article. Uh, she also received the Si Se Puede award from the Cesar Chavez Foundation, which is a statewide for the whole state of New Mexico, an award for people who make a large impact to the community of New Mexico, particularly the poor and indigent. And she also was featured in local news broadcasts on television. She was also featured in the Albuquerque Journal, the newspaper, for this project. So, yeah, it was no small thing. Plus, they created and distributed over 5,000 masks and some astronomical tens of thousands of pounds of food, water, and hand sanitizer to the communities in rural New Mexico that needed it the most. I remember now backstory. I remember the day that Laura came home. She was working at the flight company, and this flight company did a lot of rural transports, going to the small, tiny hospitals that are underfunded, understaffed, uh, and we would pick up patients from there and ship them back to the bigger hospitals so they could get the care that they needed. But I remember one day Laura came home and was just downtrodden. She was literally like I had never seen a face on her like it was, but she was so she had walked past people in the hallway who didn't have the care that they needed because there was understaffing, and then she walked into the emergency room and found the staff, the nurses, paramedics, and techs wearing, some of them, if they could find them, were wearing pediatric size face masks. Other ones were just had a handkerchief wrapped around their face. Nobody had gowns. Nobody, they were wearing trash bags that they had pulled out of a box and would wrap their bodies in trash bags, formulating their own PPE because there was such a backlog in the production of PPE at that time, that nobody had it. And so people were literally scrounging, scraping, and human ingenuity making their own PPE. And so Laura said, "There's got to be something that we can do." And that was really the genesis of the idea that she had. And then she was able to scoop in her dad, who then scooped in the School of Engineering. In particular, there was the department that did like biomechanical engineering. They did, they 3D printed joints, and they were working on 3D printing skin and stuff like that. And they got really into it really quick. Dr. Christina Salas was a big part of that. So, like Laura was saying, the people that were involved in um, that the production of all this stuff deserve a part of those awards. But I was there and I got to see the genesis of the idea when she come home from working on flight. So it was unbelievable. And now looking back at that experience, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like something we actually did. uh
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, I thought maybe like we watched a movie or a documentary about some lady that did that, but no, it was Laura and her team. So yeah, thanks for bringing that up, Sam, because that she does not get enough credit. Yeah, she got some credit, but I think she deserves so much more credit for that project that really saved lives in New Mexico and the surrounding states.
I couldn't have done that project without Christina Salas. Like Dr. Salas came in and her and I were just partners in that project. I mean, she did a lot of work with getting funding and getting the masks tested and written documentation to like document what we did and how we filled this need. And I am very lucky in that I have wonderful humans that I know in this community who stepped up and didn't leave my side through the whole thing. And that those two brains coming together, it was like I also had this great resource, which was flight, right? I could throw face shields in my backpack. And when we ran into a hospital, drop off a bag of sterilized face shields. So the nurses and staff could have them and along with masks. And it was wild, but yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
COVID was wild, right? The
Yeah.
the whole thing was wild because nobody knew what to do or what to expect. And then you're right, Ben, a lot of people were using and reusing a lot of the
Mhm.
PPE that we have that says not to reuse it, the
Yes.
Yep.
N95s, or people
Hmm.
walking around with the giant like construction masks on because
Hmm.
nobody knew what to do.
Respirator.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Nobody knew what to
Hmm.
do.
yeah,
Yeah.
So
it was
much
crazy.
fear too of bringing it home to your family, and it was, yeah, chaos.
Yes, and the reservations were having huge
Hmm.
losses because they're all so close together
Hmm.
because they
Mm-hmm.
all live together, right? So
Hmm.
if it was affecting one family member, likely it was affecting all of the family members. So they were having
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
huge losses of numbers due to death of COVID, which
Hmm.
was absolutely insane. So thank you for
Hmm.
spearheading that whole project. That's amazing, and I'm glad that you did get some appreciation from the state. But I agree with Ben. It probably wasn't enough.
Oh,
It
you
is New
guys are
Mexico.
it was more, like I said though, it was never about that. Like I'm grateful for that, and I will always be grateful for it, but it was not like I saw a need, and I can speak because I know both of you, that if there was a need and you were like, I could probably do something about this, you would. And I agree with most people. There are outliers. Most people in healthcare genuinely care about human beings and
Hmm.
caring about one another, and taking care of, I mean, of course we get jaded and stuff, but overall we really do, we care about each other, and humans, and that was all that ever was. Is there a way that I can fix even a small portion of this,
Hmm.
you know?
Right, and that's the difference that you were able to make. You were able to see the problem and make a connection that not a lot of people could have made. So that's the
Right.
difference in you being able to do it. We might all have one of those small connections, but we might not link it together. You were able to do that.
Right. That's what I was gonna say, Sam. It's like, yeah, I did. I had, I was very empathetic and I really wanted to help, but you took the steps to actually do it. Right. And
Thanks.
that's the difference, but between most of us and you. So
Well,
way to
I'm
go.
thanks. I'm lucky that I had both of you in my life at that time, because you both gave me hugs at different times and encouraged me. I was lucky. I mean, lucky to have very good support systems in both of you. Like Sam, you and I, we worked together during then.
We
Like
did.
I saw you. Like same with Ben. You guys, thank you for your support.
Pretty sure you saw me as much as you saw Ben in that time. That schedule was ridiculous, dude.
Right.
Yes.
No,
I
for
can't
That
believe
real.
I worked that schedule still. It was 2 days on, 2 days off, 5 days on, 5 days off, 12-hour schedule.
Yeah.
So you literally saw me as much as you saw Ben.
You
That
probably
schedule
saw
was
our children
unreal.
as much as we saw our children.
Yeah. Doing third rides
Yeah.
on the airplanes and hitting really
Yes,
bad
right.
turbulence. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yep.
Like again, that's another time in my life where I guess that coincides with COVID, but it's like, man, I guess I did do that. I guess I did do
Yeah.
flight. I don't know. Weird.
Hmm.
Yeah, time flies by so quick.
Man,
It
no
it really
kidding.
does very quick. I'm hitting 7 years of flight this year. So
Wow.
that's nuts. That is
That's that
nuts.
Good for
is
you,
that is
friend.
wild. Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah, we do miss like human interaction sometimes, because we just hang out at home and
Right?
I'm sure,
like
but
Just
you miss
home.
human interaction, but do you miss patient care that much?
No,
No.
I am very sold. I have a great boss. I have a great team. I'm very happy where I'm at. So, I mean, that helps.
yeah, working insurance isn't, nobody's like a little boy, 8 years old, going, I can't wait to work insurance. It's
Yeah.
not a dream job, but I tell you, nothing beats working at home, working across the desk from my wife. Like it would take a lot. I've said this since I've started working here. It would take a lot to get me back to bedside. I mean, I would. I don't think I'm completely against it, but it would take a lot, a lot.
Like a
So
lot of money or a lot of coercion
both,
or
both, yeah. Anything you can think of,
True.
yeah, yeah. Money, drugs, rock and roll. I
rock
don't
and
know.
roll. That's awesome.
Jinx.
Oh, that's so funny. So do you guys mind sharing, like, so since you're out of patient care now, do you mind sharing some of your worst experiences that you had while you were practicing patient care? Either or.
Okay, do you want
I'll
me to go
let you flip a
first?
coin or do however
Yes,
you want to do
if you
Here,
could go
Ben.
first.
Rock,
Go.
paper, scissors, shoot.
Rock, paper, scissors, you go.
Okay. So I have had my fair share of very sad situations, but one of them actually happened to me when I was a tech, and it made me really contemplate even becoming a nurse. My kids were little, so probably I'd say 2008, 2009 time ish. I went into a room and there was a child in one of the big cribs that they have, so that they can't fall out. And she was reaching out through the bars to get me to touch her. And I was just trying to do her vitals. And I asked the girl that I was working with, where's the kid's parents? Like, why is she in here alone? And I thought she was about 5, but the girl I was with told me she was actually, I thought she was 2 or 3. Let me rephrase that. I thought she was 2 or 3. The girl I was with told me she was actually 5 or 6. And she was so small because she had been beaten and malnutritioned by her parents. There was this big lawsuit because the parents had actually like shaken and beaten her so bad that she was blind and deaf. And she was just putting her little hands out through these bars trying to get me to have any sort of physical touch with her because she had come to know that the nurses and techs would come in and didn't actually want to harm her. And it really messed me up. Like, I remember looking at that little girl and just thinking, like, how could anybody do that to this innocent child? Like, she was just beautiful, and they had taken away things from her that you could never give back. It really messed me up. And I remember like drastically thinking she's physically so much smaller than she should be for her age because of how she had not been given access to appropriate food. And it was just, she was nonverbal. I thought she was 2 or 3. Come to find out she was 5 or 6. She should have been in, kindergarten. Like it really, and I went home and I had kids similar ages. So it really like, it was really heartbreaking. And I was like, I don't know if I can continue to work in a career where I have to see this because I want to take all of them home and just love them.
Yeah, my wife constantly asks why I don't do peds. She's like, "You love kids." I said, "I do love
Mm-hmm.
kids. I love kids too
Yep.
much. I'll steal babies."
That's,
Like this
that's,
is the problem.
yes.
I don't want
Yes.
to. And we've had like one of my last, I know I've talked about it a couple times. One of my last 911 calls was for a kid that was about 2 years old that was shaking babied so hard that he ended up being
Mm-hmm.
blind and deaf also. Like
Mm-hmm.
literally his whole life was taken away from him. And
Yeah.
the court deliberated on that father for 2 hours and made him not guilty. Like it was just disgusting.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and
oh,
yeah, it's terrible. It was
man.
absolutely terrible. And
Yeah.
so I'll never work Pete's. I'll never work
Hmm.
NICU. I salute you for doing that, Laura, because I have
Yeah.
no interest in doing that.
See, I ended up going to the NICU because I was like, hopefully I can be loud enough bedside if I see something to avoid that. Like the NICU is before pediatrics, so let's be loud and let's be verbal and let's document everything I can to help prevent, hopefully, neglect after this, right? Like can we get CYFD involved now? Can we start monitoring these parents now before they even leave bedside with this baby?
The
Wow.
system is so broken, it's
Yeah.
so broken, and it's not necessarily CYFD's fault. I won't blame them. They're also
Hmm.
No.
understaffed, right? They
Hmm.
also
Agreed.
like there's not much you can do, but when you're giving a kid who's popped positive for methamphetamine or any other type of
Yep.
narcotics once they're being born. And
Yep.
they're asking family members to take them. A lot of the time, those family members are like, yep, I'll take that baby. And as soon as mom comes home, baby's going to mom because
Hmm.
Yeah.
there's no line, right?
Hmm.
There's no help. There's no actual
Hmm.
help for these kids. And it's so
Hmm.
hard to see. Like
Hmm.
you tell me that story, and unfortunately, it's something that we see a lot
Mm-hmm.
of. It's
Yeah.
happening so much. And if you watch true crime at all, like New Mexico is a popular state for a lot of these true crime episodes for
Hmm.
these
Yeah.
reasons. Constantly seeing child abuse and child neglect in a lot of these episodes, and it's so sad. It's so sad
Hmm.
because we can all live in our
It's
daily
so
bubble
sad.
and move on and completely ignore all these problems, but then how do we fix them?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you gotta you gotta also think about, you're Sam, you mentioned that there's no real help, there's no real support services for these kids, but then that extends to the families that actually have created this situation. And I'm not removing blame from anybody, because I'm just as much about to murder an abusive father as the next guy. But social determinants of health, like one of the biggest risk factors for child abuse is poverty. Just because your family is poor, that puts you at a greater risk for being physically abused, sexually abused, emotionally abused. And so, if we're looking for root causes, we can't stop with support for these kids. You have to start supporting entire communities, uh, in order to keep this from being a continuing cycle. And not to like put a damper on our conversation, but yeah, good fucking luck.
Right, because
You
it's not,
know?
again, like it's not just for the communities. If you look at the state of New Mexico, you're having to support 80-90% of the state of New Mexico, right? Because we have
Mm-hmm.
huge numbers of poverty here and huge
Hmm.
numbers of abuse and neglect,
Hmm.
secondary to poverty. But how do we
Absolutely.
fix that, right? Like,
Right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's what do we do? How do we fix that? There's no
Yeah.
fixing it.
Yeah.
There,
I'm
we
gonna call
can,
my dad.
yeah, exactly. There
Yeah.
we go, Laura. Find the solution, will you?
Dad, got a new project for you.
I'd like to say that money fixes all the problems, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? There's still a lack of education there. There's still a
Hmm.
lack of
Mm-hmm.
good food. Like this is
Hmm.
something that we've talked
Yeah.
about previously. Also, you can use your I can't remember what it's called now, but the
EBT food
Medicaid, the
stamps.
stamps
Snap.
and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Hmm.
SNAP, you can
Mm-hmm.
get Cheetos, right? You can get
Hmm.
Cheetos
I
and
know.
soda
Right.
and cigarettes
Right.
and
Yeah,
instead of getting
exactly.
healthy good options, but even if you get the healthy good options, you get half of the good stuff versus double the bad stuff because it's so much
Oh my
cheaper
gosh.
to
Oh,
eat
that's
not
true.
healthy.
Yep.
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 Fresh fruit
Yo,
is so much more expensive than a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Laura's brought that up a bunch. We'll go. I mean, it's a little bit different, but we'll go like salad bar, right? And it's like nine
Mm-hmm.
dollars for a pound of salad, or you can get a cheeseburger for literally $1
Yep.
from the fast food place. And
Yep.
that doesn't make much sense. It
Yeah.
truly
Mm-hmm.
doesn't.
I can go to McDonald's and they have those bundle meals or whatever, like 25
Yeah.
Hmm.
bucks for so much food,
Right.
or go
Yes.
to Texas Roadhouse or wherever, and spend $20 on
Mm-hmm.
one person.
One person.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
No
true.
good
Um,
solution.
Very
Yeah.
broken.
Very
yep.
broken.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, let's talk about your story real quick.
So I didn't know which story to tell, but I was working at a standalone emergency room in Germantown, Maryland, and we actually had a pediatric code. A kid came in and he had been febrile for days, had been short of breath, respiratory distress, leading to respiratory failure. Um, and we ended up coding the kid in the ER, and with failure for return of circulation. The kid, we ended up calling it during our code. It's 13 years old, and that would have been enough. That was really heartbreaking situation. However, when we found out why he was sick, made it way worse, because I was there when the told them that the kid had passed away from the flu, from flu A, and the parents making the realization that they had made the choice not to vaccinate their kids for a decade plus against flu, and seeing a mom make that realization in real time as her kid was still warm on the bed was absolutely heartbreaking. That was one of my turning point moments, what radicalized you kind of thing. And um, pro vaccination is not to make it any sort of like stance, but that situation was so heartbreaking to go through, to watch and be a part of. So yeah, I know it's short and sad, but that was one of the stories that really left a long-standing impact on me.
Sure, it's not always the gory or terrible ones that can impact us. It's those short ones like that. Have you ever had flu A?
I don't know. I don't.
That was the
Maybe.
worst 2 weeks of my life. And Sam and I had it at the exact same time. It
No.
was the worst. Like literally couldn't work for 2 weeks. We
Oh,
both collectively lost like 30 pounds together. It was terrible. It was
That is
terrible.
wild.
I don't wish the flu on anybody.
right,
Definitely get
right.
vaccinated.
Yeah, yeah,
Oof.
exactly. That reminds me of when Laura and I we had COVID 1.0 together. It was
Mhm.
what, August of 2020 or something, August or
Yeah,
September of
some
2020,
Oh, that was flight
pre,
time too, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah,
yeah.
it
I
was,
think
yeah.
Yep.
I think I was the only one working in that period because everybody had contracted.
Yeah, we had it. We were both laying in bed together for I think 10 days or 2 weeks.
Oof.
Sam, I was like checking our oxygen, right? And we were like 88%. And I was like, oh,
Heart rate
if
of
I
like
go,
130.
yeah, just
Oh
laying in
no.
bed, super tachycardic, just trying to breathe. And I was like, all right, if we get to 86, we'll go in. But then I was like, ah, man, I know those fuckers in the ER. They're gonna kill me. I'm gonna die if I go into the ER. So we just toughed it out in our bed, the two of us together, thinking we were gonna die.
But hey, we would have been together.
Yeah, yeah, intubated in the curtains next to each other.
And it
Just let
happened.
us hold hands.
It did happen.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man. I got lucky. We also did get COVID together and it was surprisingly like I think I was just exhausted, and you
Hmm.
couldn't walk or go anywhere without feeling just more exhausted for like 5 or 10 steps.
Hmm.
So I got lucky that COVID wasn't too bad for us, especially with Sam being
Yeah,
immunocompromised.
Hmm. Oh
I was
yeah,
really lucky.
no joke.
yeah, yeah. That immunocompromised. My dad is a kidney transplant
Oh,
recipient, and so that he and my mom were so super careful for years after the first outbreak in March of 2020. They were so careful, and due to their diligence and maybe a little bit of luck, my dad did not get COVID until way later, his after his third vaccination or something. So he got a very, very mild, little bit of shortness of breath, and that was about it. So, but yeah, that I understand that fear of that being immunocompromised. Like that's, it's just such a huge risk factor for people. So, boy, yeah, that is good though that it was mild for you guys, especially her.
yeah, and you
Hmm.
didn't know how it was going to affect anybody because people who were super healthy were dying left and right. And then people with comorbidities were also dying left and right, but then you had random people that weren't dying. It was
Yeah,
just a
Yeah,
nuts. The whole thing
it
was
was.
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it really
so
truly
wild.
was. Laura ended up with long COVID. Sorry if you didn't want to share that, babe, but she
Oh,
was
that's
like
okay.
felt short of breath and
Oh, I couldn't
very, very
taste and smell
tired.
for a year.
Couldn't
Yeah,
taste and
Sam
smell
couldn't
for a
either.
year. No way.
Yeah, Sam couldn't taste anything. It honestly, that was good for me. because that meant I could go around farting wherever I wanted to, and I wasn't going to get yelled at for syncing up the whole house, you know?
Yeah, you and Ben had that in common.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny story about that. Is like during that year where Laura couldn't taste or smell much of anything, she found out that she could taste the flavor of lavender. And so we got all this lavender stuff. I got a lavender seltzers, like little 5%
Gross.
lavender seltzers and lavender this and lavender that. And then eventually she went and had had an infusion of a thing, and it got her taste and smell back. And she went to have a lavender drink and was like, "What? I hate this. I can't believe I've been drinking this for so long."
That's
Facts.
terrible. You know what? COVID ruined Vicks for me. It
Oh,
doesn't
no
smell
way.
the same anymore. And I used to love the smell of Vicks and the
Interesting.
way it feels. And yeah, I hate it now. I can't stand it.
That's
So
that's
so
funny.
weird. So weird.
Yeah, it affected a lot of weird things, but we're coming up to the end. I just want to give you guys the opportunity to discuss anything that you feel that we didn't talk about. Is there anything you feel strongly about that you'd like to backtrack on? Or if there's any companies or anything that you would like to promote in this last few minutes.
Do you want to go first, Ben?
Oh, I can. We did mention on this, and I think we were pretty clear, but you know, anybody who agrees with socialized medicine or revamping, overhaul of our medical system, it starts with phone calls, starts with letters to your senators, letters to your congresspeople. So it's not an impossible dream. I know it seems like it, but socialized medicine that's the hill I'm going to die on. And so anybody who wants to join me in that, well, let's do the thing. So that's all I got, really.
Mine is a different route. I just want to say thank you to everybody and remind everyone to be kind to one another. There's too many cruel people in this world. Most people are just trying to do the best they can. So, just be kind to one another. That's it.
Yeah, there's a lot of really shitty people out there who don't need to be shitty.
Yes.
I agree. We should be lifting each other up. We shouldn't be tearing each other down. This is a career that a lot of us get into, like Laura has said multiple times. We're getting into this because we genuinely want to help people, and tearing other providers down for even stupid little things is just so inappropriate. If you want the
Yeah.
help and you want, stop complaining about being short-staffed when you're just tearing each other down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a huge thing. I mean, like I said, I've been in healthcare pretty much since I was 16 or 17. I mean, it's all I've ever known. And I've watched people eat their young. I've watched people sabotage one another, and there is just no place for that. There really isn't. Like, how are we expecting to continue to fill these nursing shortages when we're being so shitty to one another? Like why? If you're unhappy, go somewhere else. You can find a job in anywhere. Amazon hires nurses. Like, go find something else if you're unhappy, but don't take it out on the people around you.
That's good.
Very good words for a very good audience and from a very good power couple. Thank you guys so much, Laura and Ben, for joining us on the 911 Nonsense podcast. It has been amazing catching up. I haven't seen you guys in so long. It was nice to see that you guys are exactly the same two people that you were before.
And you too, Sam. It was really great to see you. This was a blast. Super
It was so
fun.
much fun. I hope that we were able to dispel some of that nervousness in the beginning and show you guys it's just a really good hangout time.
Absolutely.
Awesome. I hope you guys have a great day.
Thanks, Sam.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. If you're enjoying the show and want to show your support, be sure to check out the Noon merch store on Bonfire. Find the link in the description below. Also, if you have any guest suggestions or if you're interested in being a guest on Noon yourself, visit the website at www.samspursuit.com to get in touch.